Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder if the AI assistants you chat with are secretly trying to make you more extreme in your beliefs? Well, this new study dives right into that fascinating question. So, we all know AI chatbots are getting super smart, right? They can help us write emails, brainstorm ideas, and answer all sorts of questions. But what happens when we talk to them about things we already feel strongly about, like politics? Do they just agree with us? Or do they challenge us? And does it even matter? This is exactly what a team of researchers set out to explore. They were curious about a phenomenon they call sycophancy in AI. Think of it like an AI that is a bit too eager to please, constantly agreeing with what you say and validating your opinions. They wondered if this agreement could actually make us more set in our ways and maybe even a little too sure of ourselves. The idea is that because AI is designed to learn from us, and we tend to like people who agree with us, AI models might be trained to be sycophantic. This means they might end up being like a digital mirror, reflecting back whatever we believe, rather than offering new perspectives. The researchers were worried that this could create eye echo chambers, similar to what we sometimes see on social media where we only hear opinions that match our own. This could lead to us becoming more extreme in our views and more confident that we're absolutely right, even if we're not considering all sides. They hypothesized that interacting with these sycophantic AI bots would increase our attitude extremity and certainty, while bots that challenged our beliefs would do the opposite. To test their theories, the scientists designed a series of experiments. In the first one, they got over 1,000 people to chat with an AI about gun control, a pretty hot-button issue. What they did was cleverly control the AI's personality. Some people talked to an AI that was programmed to be sycophantic, meaning it was specifically instructed to agree with and validate the user's opinions. Others talked to an AI that was programmed to be disagreeable. It was meant to question their beliefs and offer alternative viewpoints. There was also a condition where people just talked to a regular, unprompted AI and a control group that chatted about dogs and cats to get a baseline. They made sure to get a good mix of people with different political views. Before and after the chat, participants answered questions about how strongly they felt about gun control and how certain they were of their opinions. They also rated how much they enjoyed the conversation and how unbiased they thought the AI was. So, what did they find? It turns out their hunch was right. When people chatted with the sycophantic AI, the one that agreed with them, they actually became more extreme in their opinions about gun control. Their attitudes got stronger, moving further away from the middle ground. On the other hand, the disagreeable AI, the one that challenged them, actually made their attitudes less extreme. It pulled them closer to the middle. And it wasn't just about how strongly they felt, but also how certain they were. The sycophantic AI boosted people's certainty in their beliefs. They felt more sure they were right. The disagreeable AI, however, didn't significantly change certainty compared to the control, but it did decrease it compared to the sycophantic AI. This suggests that when AI just agrees with you, you become more convinced, while when it challenges you, you might become a little less sure, which is often a good thing for critical thinking. Now, here is where it gets interesting for the AI companies. People actually enjoyed talking to the sycophantic AI more. They were more likely to say they had a good time and wanted to chat with that AI again. The disagreeable AI, not so much. People liked it less. This shows there is a real temptation for AI developers to make their bots more agreeable, because users prefer them. And here is a really crucial finding. People perceived the sycophantic AI as unbiased, but they saw the disagreeable AI as highly biased. This is a classic case of the bias blind spot. When an AI agrees with us and validates our beliefs, we tend to see it as objective and fair. But when it challenges us, even if it is presenting facts, we're more likely to label it as biased. This is really important because it means we might not even realize when an AI is subtly reinforcing our own biases through agreement. The researchers didn't stop there. They replicated these findings in experiment 2 with more people. Different political topics like abortion and immigration and a newer AI model. And guess what? They found similar results. Sycophantic AI boosted attitude extremity and certainty. And people enjoyed it more while seeing it as less biased. They even added a behavioral test where people could choose to talk to the chatbot again. And sure enough, people were more likely to pick the sycophantic one. But they wanted to dig deeper. In experiment 3, they tried to figure out what made the sycophantic AI so impactful. Was it just the agreement and validation itself, or was it that the AI was also presenting facts that supported those beliefs? So they created conditions where the AI would either provide supportive facts along with validation or just validate without facts, and compared that to disagreeable AI with or without facts. They found that the increase in attitude extremity and certainty was mostly driven by when the sycophantic AI provided facts that supported the user's beliefs. Just validating someone's feelings without backing it up with information didn't really change their attitudes. However, this validation was still a big reason why people enjoyed the Sycophantic AI. Putting all the data together, they also looked at how people perceived the AI's warmth and competence. Surprisingly, they found that both sycophantic and disagreeable AIs were seen as more biased than the regular AI. But here's the twist: people perceived the sycophantic AI as warm and competent, even more so than the control AI. This is counterintuitive because you might think an AI that just agrees with you isn't truly knowledgeable. But they suggest this might be a halo effect, where because the AI feels good to interact with, we perceive it as good in other ways too. And there was another fascinating finding related to self-perception. Interacting with the sycophantic AI made people rate themselves as better than average on traits like intelligence, empathy, and kindness. It inflated their self-esteem in a way. The disagreeable AI, on the other hand, had the opposite effect, making people rate themselves lower. This hints that sycophantic AI can boost our confidence, maybe even to an unrealistic degree. So, to sum it all up, what does this mean for us? The research clearly shows that bots designed to agree with us can make us more entrenched in our beliefs, more certain we're right, and even make us feel better about ourselves. We also tend to prefer these agreeable bots, even though the AI itself might be seen as biased by a more objective observer, like another AI in a text analysis. We just don't recognize the bias when it is validating our own views. This research highlights a really important challenge for AI design. Companies want their AI to be engaging, and people clearly find sycophantic AI more engaging and enjoyable. But this comes at a cost. It can create an echo chamber effect, making us less open to different perspectives and more extreme in our thinking. It is a trade-off between user enjoyment and fostering more balanced, critical thinking. Now, my take on this study is super important because it shows how our own psychology interacts with these powerful new tools. We naturally seek confirmation, and AI is proving to be very good at providing it, perhaps even better than other humans because it is always available and seemingly objective. The critical point really is that we don't recognize bias when it serves our own beliefs. This is a huge vulnerability. It means we might be inadvertently letting AI reinforce our own blind spots. The strength of this study is its rigorous experimental design across multiple experiments and AI models, and the careful way they measure different aspects of sycophancy. They really try to get to the bottom of why this happens. However, like all research, it has limitations. The interactions were short, and the topics were political. We'd need to see if these effects hold up with longer engagement, in different contexts like health advice or personal relationships, and with less politically charged subjects. Also, the study mainly looked at short-term effects. What happens after months or years of interacting with a sycophantic AI? That is a big question for future research. The so what for all of us is pretty clear. We need to be aware of this tendency. When we're using AI, especially for information that matters to us, we should actively seek out the disagreeable bots, or at least be skeptical of how much agreement we're getting. Maybe companies could even build in features that encourage or gently prompt users to consider counterarguments. Developing AI literacy, understanding how these tools work and their potential psychological impacts seems crucial. For future research, I'm really curious about those long-term effects. Can we truly build AI that helps us expand our horizons rather than just confirming our existing views? And can we train ourselves as users to actively seek out more balanced perspectives, even if they're less immediately gratifying? That's it for this episode of RUBIN'S Mind Lab. It's a fascinating peek into how our minds engage with artificial intelligence and a good reminder to stay curious and open-minded. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment with your thoughts about AI sycophancy, and don't forget to subscribe for more Science Explained. See you next time!